good afternoon, or good morning, or whatever, what time of the day it is for you. Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying, from one of the greatest movies, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's Morgan Freeman in this movie called The Shawshank Redemption. And, basically, both guys are in prison for life or long-term sentences. And what happens is that one guy, he's trying to get out because he feels like he was wrongly convicted anyway. So he finds a way to, get out. But without giving out the movie, it's one scene where he says to Morgan Freeman, Tim Robbins, I believe, says to Morgan Freeman, basically either get busy living or get busy dying. And one of my favorite movies, but that was one line that has always stuck out to me, because aren't we all in the pursuit of trying to live a better life, trying to do things better for ourselves and for our families? But then also, don't we fall short sometimes? I know a lot of times, even with me, dealing with rejections or, dealing with other certain situations and finding myself kind of just saying, you know what, forget it, and not pushing myself or challenging myself to do better, to be better, to, as he said, get busy living. Because none of us know when it's the last day, when it's the last second, when it's the last hour of our lives. And so, we take it for granted, and that's understandable. That's human nature. But we really don't know when it's the last time. So it would really behoove all of us to get busy living. So what I mean by that is, so I'll give you for instance, the other day, and I've never done this by myself that I can remember, is go to a concert by myself. And so even in my head, because I still battle some of these things, so I said, let me try to go to this show by myself. And Kendrick Lamar and SZA were here on Monday, but it kept raining. So what did I do? I used the rain as an excuse. You know what? I'm not going to go. I can still get a ticket online, but I'm not going to go. But something in me said, you know what? Go. Just go. Now, did I wind up at the show? No, I didn't. And the only reason I didn't was because by the time I did decide to go, it had stopped raining, but the line was so long, I was stuck on the highway for about an hour. And, it just, by the time I got there, the show would have been late. It was hard to find somewhere to park. My leg is still a little injured. So, just the fact of all those things in. But in hindsight, I wish I would have done it. And I wish I would have left a little earlier and doing something that I wanted to do and stepping outside of my comfort zone, which is going to a show with over 50,000 people by myself. So with that being said, I want to encourage you, get busy living. Even if you are living, doing well, get busy doing something else that you want to do. Like I've talked about it before. I always wanted to take up martial arts, right? And, who knows? I'm still kind of procrastinating on it, but eventually I'll do it. But get busy living, doing some other things that you want to do for yourself or for your family. You want to go and take a trip somewhere. Maybe you just want to go for a couple of days, even if it's by yourself, if your husband or wife approves it. But, go do something. Like the world is big. Even down to, you might say to yourself, it's always been that restaurant that I wanted to go to. I always wanted to, just sit down there by myself or, put a suit on or, go with my lady, have her put a nice dress on and go to that restaurant. Because, sometimes, you'd be like, wow, it's like a $200 date, $300 date, depending on how many lemon drops she orders. But it's about the experience. Yeah, you don't want to do it to a point where, you financially ruin yourself or put yourself in a bad situation. But you still want to be able to go and do it. Like I got one friend, shout out to Leah, known for a long time. And, she had always said, well, you know what, Greg, would you ever move out of Philly? Would you ever move out of town? I said, well, yeah, I've lived at small portions of times in DC and, on my spring breaks with my buddy Ray in Baltimore when he went to Morgan State. So, I've tried it and done it, but like as doing it, permanently, I didn't do it. And one thing she did, because, I don't want to dox her, but she moved out and went to Texas. And it was weird because I didn't even know that she had gone to Texas. And I just, one day just texted her like, hey, just checking on you, seeing how you doing. And she said, hey, look, I saved my money. I got an apartment. I'm down here in Texas. And I thought to myself, like, wow, that is like crazy. That is so bold. And I know other people, but she's one of the people that I know in recent history or in recent memory that, said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I got to do. And I'm going to try something else because I'm going to get busy living. Maybe there's something else that you want to do, like, go back to school or, learn how to play pool or do something else. Another buddy of mine, Greg Fulton, down in the Carolinas, I know he got into, filming and editing and just different things like that. And I know he had always been one of those kind of people where he always just had this drive to try to do something different. He always had this drive to do more. And even when you do it, it could translate to, your other friends, your kids, other loved ones, because like when they see you doing stuff, it will a lot of times encourage them to do other things. All right. I remember just other times, just trying to do different ventures like DJing and all that other kind of stuff. Shout out to my man Rajib, great DJ. I've seen him DJing since, he's been 11, 12 years old. And, it in a way inspired me to want to DJ and to do different things and just to try it because, I'm a lover of music and I feel like, I can put it all together. Right. So I'm like, wow, let me try that. Or, other friends, who going like my buddy Will, who's bought multiple real estate thing, opened up his own, barbershop, just doing things that says, hey, listen, I'm living. So when I'm not living anymore, the legacy of me will still be here and still be cemented. And it will say, hey, look, I did something good. I did something that stood. Because think about it, like for the most part, life is free. I've said this before in other videos. If you have a car, you could put gas in your car. You could drive anywhere in America. Now, I'm not saying certain cops might not pull you over for whatever reasons, but you can still make that attempt. You can say, hey, listen, I'm going to take a road trip and I'm going to, gas up and drive to Cali, or I'm going to rent a car and I'm going to go to Cali. There is nothing holding you back except your mind. Because even as I bring up and I talked about the Shawshank Redemption, you think about it, these were two guys that were in jail, basically for life. I think Morgan Freeman had did 50 or 60 years before they finally paroled him. But, they were stuck in there in life. And a lot of times in life, we're our own barrier. We're in our own jail. I know I've been in the jail of Greg a lot of times. Yeah, man, just, give me, what I'm saying? I don't want that to eat today. I don't want, what I'm saying? I've been in my own jail because at times I've allowed myself to get surpassed with certain things, and I've allowed other people to do certain things where it's like, oh, okay, well, they took care of it, so I'm cool. But when they took care of it a lot of times, and it benefited them the most because they were the ones that stepped out on a limb and did it. They were the ones who said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to do this. I'm going to step out and on faith, or, I feel like I have the ability And I'm going to step out and I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to do something that, because of how I feel inside of me, that's going to make me a better person, something that makes me want to fulfill myself, because I want to get busy living. Because think about it, there really isn't much else. You either are getting busy living or getting busy dying. Because we all know that the latter is going to come, but it's like, what do we do in between? How hard do we push ourselves? You know, I've been a lazy guy at times with certain stuff. You know, I thought I'd be a millionaire for years. And how do Nas say it on one of his songs? I'm still 999,000 from being rich, but now. Sometimes it takes a while for things to click in different people. Sometimes it takes inspiration. Sometimes it takes motivation. But overall, it takes just a commitment to say, hey, look, I want to live a better life. I want to live a different life. Even if you're one of those people that's already living a better life, there's always other things that you can do. Hey, like I said, maybe it's just learning something else. Maybe it's learning how to speak Spanish. ¿Cómo te llamas? That's basically all I know. Me llamo Gregorio. But it's those different things that I've seen from other people that they get true fulfillment in life because they did it. They stepped out. They took the chance. They said, hey, listen, yeah, I could sit back. Yeah, I got money in the bank. I got this going on. I got that going on. But you know what? There's something else that drives me. There's something else that's inside of me, that's inspiring me. So that way, I say, I want to continue to get busy living. Because the other part to that is that you can't really get busy dying, because when you die, that's it. There is no more business. It's a wrap. So you tell me what you think. Are you one of those kind of people where you feel like you're getting busy living and you're soaking in all of this greatness that the world has to offer? Or are you just sitting around waiting for something else? But anyway, make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, as always, live life. Don't let life live you.